Hello everyone, Lale here. So for those of you wondering what is the sleep paralysis, well, it is the worst. But before I explain what it is, I want to tell you how I got into that situation. It was between 12 and 1 a.m. this Monday, June 29th of 2020. It was pretty late at night and I couldn't manage to fall asleep because I didn't feel tired. The problem was that the day before, I took a nap in the afternoon, which was a great mistake. Although I know that if I take a nap I will lose my sleep at night, I still haven't learned from it. So that was the first mistake. The second one was not trying to sleep. And what I mean by that is that instead of closing my eyes and just pretend to sleep, I was watching YouTube. After watching random stuff on YouTube, I closed the app and out of reaction, I opened it again. That time was when a certain video got into my recommended feed and caught my attention. The title of the video was How to Fall Asleep in 2 Minutes. I'll link the video so that you can watch it. I won't explain all the video, but just one particular step which had the most impact on me. Basically, it consists that you relax your muscles and go your way from your head all the way to your feet, doing that. Tensing the face muscles and relaxing them and repeating that pattern with all your body. After finishing the video, I turned off my cell phone and disconnected my headphones so that I could finally go to sleep. I did that. I laid on my bed without anything covering me, feeling the air coming through my window, and just relaxing. At that point is where I closed my eyes. This is very important for later, so just keep in mind that I closed my eyes at 1:40 something a.m. Doing that tense and relaxing thing really set me in the mood to be able to go to sleep, which was kind of interesting. And at some point I was so calm that when I was breathing in and out I could feel all my body, which is unbelievable, especially when I breathe out and all the air left my body. That's when I could feel every inch of my body. For some reason it felt so weird and wonderful that I didn't want it to breathe again to see if I could feel something else other than my body. I also knew that if I don't breathe I could possibly die, but I was trying to lucid dream, which wasn't the main purpose of all this, but at that moment I felt it was possible. So I was trying my best not to breathe, but I couldn't, obviously. So I breathed again and that sensation of feeling all my body was gone. I thought that my opportunity to lucid dream was lost, but because of that, I lowered the position of my hands. I had both of my hands over my pectoral and my right hand was on top of the left hand. So after that, I lowered both hands to my belly level and I tried again. I repeated all the steps and after a while, I started to feel that sensation again. Just that this time I wasn't just feeling all my body, I was also feeling the warm spots of my body and the cold ones. In addition, I was feeling like I was moving a little bit sideways, but I knew that I wasn't moving a muscle. I thought that maybe I was finally gonna lucid dream, but it failed. That's when I decided that maybe, just maybe, the position wasn't the correct one. So I started to change positions to see if any worked out. I repeated some positions 2 or 3 times and I also broke one of the rules that the video mentioned specifically: sleep in a colder environment, when I decided to cover myself up. Which was a great mistake because the only blanket or cobija that I have is very thick and meant for winter season. Don't ask why it is the only one I have. That thick blanket worsened things up because I didn't feel comfortable or calm with it. The warmth that it generates is just overwhelming, especially in this summer season. So I put it in a certain way that only certain parts of my body were covered so that I could be warm and cold at the same time. This is when things started to get creepy. The position that I was basically was like my torso pointing towards the bed and my back was pointing towards the ceiling. And not only that, but also my head was pointing towards the wall. So I was giving all my back to the dark and huge hallway, which I don't think it is a hallway but a big room, sort of to speak. The thing is that we don't have doors yet, so anyone can come in at any time. We only have the main door of the house, but like the rooms doesn't have doors. Also the bathrooms have doors and that's it. So while I was in that position, I started to listen to steps getting closer and closer. Basically the sound of the steps sounded something like this. That was the sound that I heard. And because I spend most of the time, if not all my time in my room because of the quarantine, I can kind of tell the distance of the subject depending on the volume of the steps. So remember the position in which basically I was giving all my back to the door? Well, the footsteps started getting near and near, until I was feeling a presence looking at me from the door. At that moment I thought it could be my big brother. I don't even know why I thought that. I just unconsciously thought about that, trying to give an explanation of what could be that presence so that I could be calm, but I was still weirded out. So for our next parts, they are scary, so if you are sensible to these topics or you are from a younger age, I don't recommend you to keep watching. I will now explain briefly what the sleep paralysis is and the scariest part of it while I was sleeping. So according to webmd, the sleep paralysis is a feeling of being conscious but unable to move. It occurs when a person passes between the stages of wakefulness and sleep. During these transitions, you may be unable to move or speak for a few seconds up to a few minutes. Some people may also feel pressure or a sense of choking. Sleep paralysis may accompany other sleep disorders, such as narcolepsy. Narcolepsy is an overpowering need to sleep caused by a problem with the brain ability to regulate sleep. So, do you remember the position that I was? Well, I decided to change position because I couldn't sleep. I exposed all my body without the blanket because the warmth of the blanket couldn't let me sleep. And I turned my body so that my back was pointing toward my bed and my torso and face were pointing to the ceiling. But guess what? The presence wasn't there anymore. And before I could question myself what happened to it, a strange sound started sounding right next to me. It was pretty loud and strange sound, like it was being produced by some deformed monstrosity. The sound was moving to my right as if the thing that was producing it was also moving. I was getting frightened and stressed. Once again I tried to scream, but nothing will come out of my mouth. I couldn't move any part of my body. It felt like I wasn't the owner of my body anymore. And so I was getting more scared and scared, wondering what was the thing doing in the middle of the night and just next to me. So I remember some tips that I watched about the sleep paralysis topic, and I tried to move my right index finger. I was struggling while that noise just kept going. Under all that stress, I just accepted my fate and thought about the most unexpected thing. What if you finger a monster? I don't know why or how, but that thought alone made me move my finger and escape the sleep paralysis. I started to quietly and awkwardly laugh because after all that, it just felt like it didn't happen at all. At the moment, the struggling and suffering felt like an eternity, but after I moved, it felt like it was just less than a second and that it didn't happen at all. It felt so real and unreal at the same time. And I couldn't assimilate if it really happened, but one thing for sure was that my heart was beating fast as fuck after that. Just after I escaped, I opened my eyes for the first time after I closed them, at 1-something AM. And the first thing that I did was to check my phone, only to see that it was 2:55 AM. So that's when I decided to write this story. I wrote this story on my phone until I heard a weird noise out of my window. At that point, I thought that I was going crazy or that maybe I didn't woke up at all. The first noise was around 3 AM. I couldn't figure what it was, but I decided to ignore it since it wasn't too clear. Then 3 minutes passed. It was 3 AM and the second sound was heard. It was kind of clear this time. It sounded like someone throwing up, but like not an ordinary throw up. It sounded more deep, but that was the only thing that I could relate it to. At that point I thought it was just a person being drunk, walking near my house, until the third creepy noise sounded. That noise was so weird and strange that it completely destroyed my hypothesis of the drunk man. I just can't explain that noise. And since I knew that I had no proof, I decided to stand up, lean over the wall looking out the window, grab my glasses and my phone and be ready to record the fourth sound. But it never happened again. It could have been anything, maybe a bird that eats something bad or any other animal, but it didn't sound quite like an animal or any animal that I know. And on top of that, what was the timing of it happening just after I escaped the sleep paralysis? Well, that was all. I'm doing this to keep it as a log where I can tell related stuff like that has happened to me, and since the quarantine started I have had really bad sleeping schedule. So I'm going to try that tense and relaxing muscle thing from that video again. I hope that I don't fall into sleep paralysis again, but if I do, I will be sure to tell you. I started writing this story just after those incidents happened, somewhere around 3:10 am, and finished writing it like at 4:11 am. So if you like this crazy experience of mine, be sure to drop a like. And I also would like to know any related experiences you may have had, so be sure to leave it in the comment section. Also subscribe if you would like to be notified when another thing like this happens again. See ya!